This is Zach Wilcox with First Coast News, giving you guys a look here at the fire that is ongoing up in Brunswick area at the Pinova chemical plant. So let's just take a look here behind me. You can see that massive plume that's going on there. That was going way higher into the sky just about an hour ago, but it just looks a lot thicker, a lot darker here, and there's still a lot of elements that we don't know about this situation. We do know that around 9:55 this morning, we found out that the fire that had started there this morning was put out by authorities here in the Brunswick area and Glynn County, and that there were no injuries. And then it was for about 5 hours there was no new developments, and then around 3 o'clock we found out that the fire had reignited and that they were bringing in backup from other agencies. We've seen Jacksonville Fire Rescue pull up in here. We've seen Savannah Fire Rescue just moments ago pull in with some sort of tank on the back of their truck with different liquids in it, pink and blue liquids, and some canisters. So not sure exactly what those are at this point. We can tell you, I'll step back on camera here while we talk about this a little bit more. I can tell you that there is a shelter in place for the folks within a mile radius of the plant, asking folks not to get on the roads so they can kind of manage this situation. There's also an evacuation order for folks within a half a mile of the plant, and you're looking at really right about where that is. The barricades behind me, this intersection at the causeway is about a half a mile from that plant. The plant, I've never been by the Pinova plant. By the way, for those of you who are wondering, it produces glue and resin. So we're still looking to figure out what exactly caused this fire. But that is what the plant manufactures. I've never been by the plant, but it seems like, generally speaking, it's right in the middle of Brunswick. So we're about a half a mile outside of that here, and there's an evacuation order inside of that half a mile radius, and then a shelter in place once you're outside of that half a mile, trying to keep folks off the road if they can. Safest place to be is home once you're outside of that radius. So we're looking here at the police as well. I'll have Abdul go ahead and show you that too. You can see a good half a dozen police cruisers there. This causeway intersection seems to be the main intersection for the operation, because we've seen Jacksonville Fire Rescue pull in here within the past hour and a half, and Savannah Fire Rescue pulling behind those barricades. They'll shut this intersection down every couple of minutes when they have another fire truck, and we've probably seen about 10 fire trucks just since we've been here, and it took us a while to get up here driving along 95 as they've worked their way in there. So no updates right now as to when they imagine to get this fire, what their goal is to get this fire under control. We did hear that a chopper and planes are en route right now. We have seen some helicopters fly over, not exactly sure, don't want to speculate what exactly they're here for, but we do know that Georgia Forestry is sending in choppers and planes right now to do another airdrop. They did one earlier. They want to do an airdrop. We have not seen one since we've been here. We got on scene probably right around 5:45. Have not seen an airdrop. They mentioned that there is going to be one more, and maybe two, as they try and get this fire under control here. You can see that smoke just billowing out. It's so dark right now. It was really a lighter gray when we got here. I want to mention that when I was driving up this way along 95, within about 20 miles, I noticed the plume, and it looked almost like a big purple cloud 20 miles away on 95. And as I got closer and closer, it just started to look more gray, dark gray, and even almost black really at this point. But as I wanted to reiterate here, when we first got here about 2 hours ago now, is when we saw the plume really way up into the sky and drifting far north as well. So more concentrated, it looks like, at this point. So waiting for more developments from officials here. Want to reiterate that shelter in place for folks who are within a mile of this chemical plant fire, and half a mile evacuation order within a half a mile. And you know, it's kind of a tough operation here. You can see the police that have got the barricades set up here. And really, since this is right in the middle of Brunswick, I took my GPS to the plant, put the address in, and it was trying to get me to the plant, of course. And there are so many different little intersections that you can get into Brunswick, so police have had to block each one of those off, at least a couple of police officers at each intersection. And when I pulled up here initially to try and get my bearings, there's a Dollar General. Gosh, I guess you can't really quite see. Maybe you can, Abdul, if you want to turn and show past that car wash. You can kind of see that Dollar General. And it got some other cameras in the way, but let's just go ahead and show that anyway. Yeah, so you see that car wash and then the Dollar General back yeah, right back behind that car wash there. So I pulled into that Dollar General just to kind of get my bearings, and there was a sign on the door saying that it was temporarily closed due to the evacuation, which was kind of a crazy sign to see. Of course, it's great that they're following the evacuation order, but it really just felt almost kind of like a disaster movie, you know, when you see those kinds of signs. So really just a ghost town right now inside of that half-mile radius in Brunswick. We've generally been staying, we've stayed here for the most part right at the Causeway intersection. I've got the safety vest on because we are pretty close to the intersection, but we've stayed here because we have such a great, you know, shot of the smoke coming up. Don't want to lose that. Want to make sure that we can keep people up to date as we watch and monitor the situation too. So we haven't seen what it's like around the rest of the area here, but I will say that the city of Brunswick posted on Facebook mentioning that there are going to be severe traffic delays at different intersections. The Causeway here, of course, one of them, one of the main ones. We've seen folks generally following that. Also Tillman and L and R streets as well. They're having those traffic delays at MLK. So a lot of those intersections, 17, some of the major intersections coming in and out of Brunswick, you're going to see that if you are trying. But again, the recommendation right now is a shelter-in-place order and then an evacuation order for those folks closest to the plant. And obviously, we're not right near the plant, haven't had a look at the plant directly. We're really just looking at the plume of smoke that's come up because this is as close as we can be while also staying safe. And then also this is as, you know, where the evacuation order has us, but you can really get a shot of that smoke coming over the causeway here. You know, so really look at that. And, you know, folks coming over have noticed that as well. We see a lot of folks pointing out the window of their cars, taking pictures. And I wanted to mention that the police here have been closing down this intersection intermittently, and when they do, as they try and get fire trucks in here, we've seen people almost get into some crashes because, of course, the trucks come into the intersection trying to get around the barricades and get back in there and head toward the plant. And some folks, I don't know if they're just not paying attention or if they're just trying to follow the lights, but obviously once they block it off and you hear all the sirens, you know, it's just a good reminder that first responders need to kind of be able to maneuver around those, you know, typical traffic lights. And even if they have a red light, they need to be able to get in there too. So wanted to give you guys this look at the fire that we're looking at. Again, quick update to kind of reiterate here. Around 10 o'clock this morning, we found out that the fire at the Pinova plant was out, or was contained at least, and that there were no injuries reported. The fire marshal was here to do an inspection as well. And then around 3 o'clock, so about 5 hours later, is when we got that update that the fire had reignited. They were on scene, they were calling in agencies from around the area. Again, Jacksonville Fire Rescue, and just for perspective, we are about an hour from the end of their jurisdiction because you have all of Nassau County there and then the state border, and we're, you know, a good 45 minutes or so north of the state border. So that's how far they had to travel to get here to help out with this. We've seen it probably 3 or 4 at least Jacksonville Fire Rescue trucks pull in, and then Savannah as well just arrived a few minutes ago. So again, to reiterate, fire was contained by around 10 o'clock. 3 o'clock is when it reignited. We were able to get here around 5:45, and here we are about 4.5 hours later, and the smoke continues to just billow out of the plant there. And we are currently waiting for another airdrop to come through. And we've seen some helicopters circling around, but we should have an airdrop here shortly from Georgia Forestry as they try and get this fire out and get the situation under control. But again, if you're anywhere near the Brunswick area, within a half a mile of the Pinova plant, you have an evacuation order. And then outside of that, within a mile, there is a shelter-in-place order. So trying to keep folks off the road while they have, you know, agencies coming in and out, fire trucks, police cruisers, lots of sirens, lots of lights coming in and out of this scene. So they want to make sure that they get as many cars off the road as possible. So I'll leave you guys with one last look at the smoke as it's billowing out. And hopefully we will have an update soon. And we'll be able to get a shot of that airdrop when it comes in. Not sure exactly when that's going to happen, but we do know the choppers are en route. And again, this was Zach Wilcox reporting for First Coast News.